from the J.C. Newman Cigar Studio in Boston, Massachusetts, and the Gurkha Cigar Studio in beautiful British Columbia. Welcome to the Smokin Tabacco Show with your hosts, Matt Tabacco and Mitchell Santaga.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Smokin Tabacco Show. My name is Matt Tabacco from SmokinTobacco.com. This is take two. We lost our original feed due to a technical issue, but we're fixed and we should not lose it again. So let's try this again. As I started us off before saying, we are a transition in progress here, so you'll notice that my appearance is different. I'm not in my normal studio. You'll also notice that there's a Gurkha Cigar Studio, but it doesn't appear to be Mitchell Santaga. It's beautiful Kevin Acuff from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Fantastic Las Vegas.
It's fabulous, Kevin. It's fabulous.
Fabulous Las Vegas.
It's fabulous. Come on. You should know this. You live there. So Kevin has replaced Mitchell, formerly a beautiful British Columbia, now fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. I am no longer broadcasting from Boston, Massachusetts. I now broadcast in the J.C. Newman Cigar Studios, even though it's a long story. I'm still getting my new studio built. It's almost done, but it wasn't done in time for this week. I apologize. But I now broadcast from the great state of New Hampshire. That's right, 603, the Granite State. Live free or die. That's where I am now. Goodbye, Massachusetts. Adios. Keep your taxes. But yeah, so that's what's going on with us. So yeah, things are a little different here right now, but it's all for the better. Things are just in the process, but it'll be all ironed out in the next couple of weeks. But thank God. I did make it. Last week I did not. Those of you guys who saw last week's show, Mitchell held down the fort with John McTavish of Developing Palates. They had their Cuban cigar show. The Canadians took over. It was a great show. I got to give those guys a huge shout out and a lot of credit because they did a really great job. That was an awesome show. So just huge props to those guys. And I lost Kevin. I don't know why. I keep losing Kevin. So I'm going to bring my guest in here with me tonight, and that's going to be Mr. Terence Reilly of Aganorsa Leaf, who's been on this show before, and I'm happy to say that he's here with us again. So, Terence, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Terence, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Uh-oh.
Yeah, okay, just making sure.
Oh, okay. I got nervous. No, I can hear you loud and clear. You look fabulous. You look great. You got what looks to be like an old school baseball Aganorsa Leaf jacket. I got to give you a lot of respect for that because that is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yep, she's a beaut, Clark, as I like to say.
She's a beaut. It almost kind of reminds me of like the jackets from like the 90s, late 90s, especially like the Red Sox ones. You remember the Red Sox ones? Those were nice.
Yeah, that's so that's what I was thinking of when I got it, was those old school Red Sox ones. But somebody was like, it looks like a Nationals one, which it kind of does, I guess, now.
Yeah, it does. But I did think of Red Sox first, just to be fair.
Good. That makes me feel better.
Like the Pedro days, like the early Pedro days. That's what
that was my favorite period of the Red Sox. So I was going for that.
Yeah, because I don't know how many people know this, but you're a Boston fan, and if you follow Terrence, you probably know that. But
yeah, I grew up in Mass. It's been a long. I haven't been there in 20 years, but I grew up there.
You haven't been to Mass in 20 years? Not even.
Well, I haven't lived there in 20 years.
Okay. I was gonna say, how do you avoid that? And Chuck's with us. Miss you in Massachusetts. I still work in Massachusetts, so I do my time there. But I served my sentence. I was there for 30 years, and I decided to move north of the border. I jumped the border, I should say, and it's been fun ever since. But you know what? On the flip side, I'm also much closer to all my friends in the cigar business up here in New Hampshire, which is awesome too. I'm within 10-15 minutes from all the major shops, so it's pretty awesome. Terrence, it's great to have you back on the show. What can we talk about with you, Terrence? What can we talk about? Can we talk about
this is your show, you tell me.
Well, I was going to say, what do we talk about? Do we talk about the new Supreme Leaf? Do we talk about cheesesteaks? Do we talk about what goes on in the airport? Like, There's so many things that I could bring up with you. I don't even know where to begin.
It's your show, my friend. You gotta take the lead here.
I know. I'm trying to figure out. First and foremost, let's talk about what we're smoking, and that's always going to be brought to us by our friends at 2 Guys Smoke Shop. That's right. That's the number 2guyscigars.com. That's how you can get them if you don't live around here in New Hampshire like I do. You can go to number 2guyscigars.com. You'll find an amazing selection of cigars and cigar accessories from the industry, only at the number 2guyscigars.com. I'm not smoking because my new office is not a smoking office. So I'm here, but I'm not smoking. Terence, you're our guest. I'll let you tell us what you're smoking, and then Kevin, I'll let you close us out on this.
So I've got the Supreme Leaf Perfecto. Now, this is the last size that was released. Actually, it was just released, and I happened to have one on me, and I thought it would be an appropriate evening to smoke it. I had to just take the band off. I smoke rather fast, but there you go, right there. Supreme Leaf Perfecto. She's a beaut, Clark.
She's beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, I will point out it must be pretty chilly in South Florida because Terence is actually wearing a jacket.
That's true. I didn't connect the dots.
It's in the 50s actually. Yeah.
Really?
It's been getting into the 50s at night, so it's chill. I've been down here, God, almost 20 years now, and 50s degrees. I'll wear a jacket once in a while.
That's like Arctic cold for Miami.
Yikes!
Yeah, for here it's cold for sure.
That's chilly. What do you got there, Kevin?
I have the Rare Leaf Maduro.
Ah, great cigar.
That's a great.
Yes,
that's a great one.
It is a great cigar. She's a beaut, Clark.
There you go.
And both these cigars actually were they're Aganorsa Leaf Select Partner exclusives. So the Rare Leaf and the Rare Leaf Maduro, what you're smoking, are available. We have about 150 retail partners that partake in this program, this partnership, and that's the Rare Leaf is exclusive to those shops. And this particular size, not all size, in fact, never before has there been an exclusive size, but the Perfecto Supreme Leaf was an exclusive for select accounts. So, of which 2 Guys is one, by the way.
Right.
Well,
yes, you can't go wrong.
That.
I know, right?
Yeah.
What are the odds? Now, I know that we just heard today about the new release of the Supreme Leaf, and we're going to get to that in a second. But first, Kevin, I'm going to need you to also help me out on this one too, because I don't know if Terence has them lined up, but I know you do, and that's what we're cutting and lighting our cigars with tonight. Once again, as always, from our friends at Dupont, with some amazing cutters and lighters. As always, some of the best in the business. That's what we rely on here at Smokin Tabacco. I know you got the Mega Jet over there, that giant flat flame. Fantastic. For lighting cigars. Their cutters, razor sharp. They slice through the cigars like nothing. Clean, even, precise cut every time. Only from Dupont. Be exceptional. All right, so Terence, let's get back into the teasing part of the night. Let's talk about the newest product, Supreme Leaf Rothschild. We heard about this one today. You can read about it at SmokinTabacco.com. It is up there now. But once again, every year you guys release a new size of the Supreme Leaf featuring all of your own tobaccos from your farm down in Nicaragua. If you've been following along with Supreme Leaf, you're already kind of familiar with what it is. But Terence, I will let you. I'll let you give us the romance of Supreme Leaf.
Yeah, so Supreme Leaf came out in 2020 originally, and it was released kind of dually with Pravada cigars, and it was really it kind of came from Brian from Pravada's concept of, he's like, man, you guys got a lot of great cigars, and we've done a couple projects with him. And he was like, most of your packaging is very traditional, and it doesn't really, have the kind of pop or vibrant colors that, some more recent stuff has. And I think if you put a really great blend, which you guys have, into something that has a little bit more of a visual appeal, or at least visually eye-catching, I think it'll do really well. And so it started there, and it's every once to twice a year a size comes out. It's always a different size. Sometimes there's only slightly different. Like there's been a Toro 6x54 box press. There's been a round 6x52. There's been a box press 5x54 Robusto. There's been a box press 5x52 Robusto. So, they're not necessarily radically different sizes, although this last size was the Perfecto. So that was a little bit, out of what we've done previously. And it's just been a huge hit for us. Whenever it comes out, it's a great blend. It's really flavorful, very Corojo dominant. And we ship them out, and they're usually gone within a few days in the store. And then 6 months to a year later, we come out with another size. So it all kind of, sprang from that idea of having it come out a couple times a year, but always having something to look forward to. So by changing the size even slightly, it gives you a little bit different of an experience.
And I'm sorry, Terence, you said what year did that first come out again?
2020. It debuted at TPE in 2020, like January, and then it shipped right as the world collapsed in 2020 in March. And it was just, again, it was just a hit. It sold out at TPE, and then it really, went quickly in retail shops. And ever since then, it's a huge seller for us. It's a brand that has brought a lot of attention to us, and it's been a success in about every sense of the word.
So this is the fourth release then.
So this is the Perfecto. The one that we just announced will be number 8. Because it's once or twice a year.
Oh, that's right.
So 2020 there was 2. 2021 there was 2. 2022 there was 1 release, and then this past year there's been 2, and now we're in 2024. So we just announced the 8th size.
Okay. Sorry, I was trying to follow along and keep track with that. So in the last couple of years, you already got 8 different iterations out. So there's a wide spectrum of sizes that you have, and all the blends are the same more or less. Too.
The idea is to always have the same blend, but obviously when if you box press it instead of having it be round or you increase the ring gauge by a little bit or a little less, all those things obviously are going to have and so what you're getting into, but you don't necessarily know exactly what it's going to be. And so and that's kind of I think what Aganorsa is in general. I always say Aganorsa is kind of like a whiskey bar. There's all different types of whiskey, but like whiskey doesn't taste like vodka or gin or rum. It's whiskey. So if you like whiskey, you're gonna probably like the new iteration of Supreme Leaf. If you don't like whiskey, you none of them are probably going to be appealing to you. So it's just finding the right one that for you. And some guys are like, oh, the first release was the best, and other guys are like, oh, this past Toro was the best. I like it round. I don't like it box pressed. Someone else says it's the Corona Gorda or whatever it is. And that's just part of the fun. You get to see what people like the most, and it's always an exciting part of it to see how people react to the different Vitolas.
Now, I'm sure this has been brought up before, and I'm not trying to jump the gun on something that maybe you guys have already even thought about, but someday, maybe an assortment of all the sizes in one pack. I don't know, maybe.
We'll see. I think there's slightly a pros and cons. I think that would be a cool thing to get them to do a run of all of them. I think on the downside also though, you're saying that this is the only opportunity to get this, and so you're kind of taking away the onus of saying, listen, this is going to not be released again. So there's pros and cons. I think it would definitely sell. I just don't know. I wonder if that would be a great, if it would hurt the brand when we do a release. If we,
yeah, I could see both sides of that. I know exactly what you're getting at too. I think if you were to do it, it would be one of those things where you'd wait a while. Maybe if you guys took a break, there's only how many sizes you can make, right? I mean, eventually you'll kind of get to a point where you'll be like, hey, there's really no other sizes we want to do this in, right? And then you kind of take a break from it, and then after a couple of years, you're like, hey, let's drop Supreme Leaf again, and we'll do like a collector set and kind of sunset. I think that would be the way to do it. Me personally, I mean, I already know that John's in the comments, and he got excited over that, so I think there's definitely some people who want to see that. So, but hey, That's just me trying to pull out the idea.
Hey, the challenge of beating the rush and
What was that,
the
Kevin?
challenge
It's
of
not a
beating
bad
the rush
idea.
and getting them all. I said the challenge of beating the rush and trying to get them all when they come out is definitely part of the fun.
Yeah, that's true. It chucks a holiday gift pack once a year. I mean, hey, ain't a bad idea. Ain't a bad idea. But, I think there's still plenty of sizes for you guys to experiment with. So if you were to do it, it's not time yet because there's still more for you.
Or if there was like a revamped packaging at some point or something like that, you could start, doing it. Yeah, but I mean, a sampler would definitely be popular because there's very few people have smoked them all. Like there's very few people that have tried it in every size. So it'd be an opportunity, even if you like, buying the new ones when they come out, you might not have had some of the, and it's a sampler. There's only one, so it's not like you're getting that many. It's a good idea. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've smoked. I think I might have only missed like one, but for the most part, I've been pretty good about smoking all of them too. Kevin, I don't know about you. Kevin, have you gotten to all of them?
Same. The only thing that I don't have is the Perfecto right now.
I'm trying to think.
So.
I think that might be the one that I did miss.
Oh wow! So you've had the original, the first run. You had those?
Yeah. I remember because I remember when they first came out,
wow.
and I was like, ooh. And when I first started smoking too, I mean, Aganorsa was one of my first brands, and that was a brand that I smoked a lot of. And the Aganorsa was, and I give a lot of credit to, and not just because they're a sponsor, but Two Guys Smoke Shop. I mean, they're local to me, so as much as they are a part of the show, and we love that, but they are my people I go to, so they're right here. So when I first started smoking, I used to hang out in that shop, as most people who know me know, and as Terence says, Dave and his amazing staff he has, I mean, are great, with recommendations. And Aganorsa was one of the first brands that was ever, shown to me as a newer smoker, and I held on to that, for the next several years as a novice amateur, cigar smoker. It's still kind of getting to know things, and it was one of the OG brands for me, and it was always one of the brands I loved the most. Going back to like the Casa Fernandez days and some of that stuff, and
you're dating yourself.
I know. I am. I am. But hey, you know what? They've always been great cigars, and it's been a brand that even before I was in the media, where it's a little bit different. As a regular consumer, it was always a reliable brand for me. It was always at a decent price point. Anytime I tried something new, I for the most part, I pretty much always have loved the cigars. They've always been great quality. They've always been exciting when there's been a new, like, oh, what's new from Aganorsa? Oh, they just came out with this. And it's like, oh, wow. And there's excitement to the brand. It's always been packed well. When you guys did the rebranding a couple years ago, I thought that was really, important for you guys. And I think you guys did a great job with it. The way that the brand looks now is really fantastic. But yeah, it just getting back to it, it's always been a solid brand. And I remember when that first came out, and I think I bought a box. I can't remember. I know I bought it, like a handful of them. I might have had a box of them. Nicole actually might know, but she's not with me. I'll have to ask her later. But yeah, I do remember when that first started coming out. I was like, oh shit, and that was a great cigar. And the first one, I was like, oh shit, this is great. And then I was like, I had to pay attention every time they came out, because I knew right from the beginning this is fantastic. But yeah, I think I might have missed a Perfecto, but for the most part, I've kept tabs on them.
Perfecto just shipped right before the holidays, so you may even be able to. In fact, the Two Guys might have some. I don't know if they've sold out yet, but they might have them.
I'm sure I could track them down somehow. I'll have to.
You know people.
I know people. I do. I know some people. I'll get my hands on it. But that's exciting. That's new. That's obviously we'll see that at TPE. I won't be at TPE, but Kevin will. So I know he'll probably swing by and see you. But talk to us about kind of what I know. Earlier in the year, we saw the Rare Leaf Maduro come out. The Rare Leaf line started. I'm sorry, we keep losing Kevin, and I have to bring him back in. So I apologize for this.
Keeps trying to escape.
I know he thinks he's gonna get away, but he's not.
It's like the mafia. You never get out.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
You can't blame me for trying, right?
Oh, man.
Now it looks like I'm connected properly, so
I hope so, because
we're having audio issues before, and then we're having internet issues, then we had more audio issues, and now I think I'm good. Sorry, guys. Don't mean to be disruptive.
It's okay. It's all right. You're just a disruptive kind of guy. Well, Kevin, right before we lost you, we were starting to talk about Rare Leaf. The Rare Leaf Maduro we saw, this year, and there's been a couple of things you guys did. I remember in 22, was it 22 or 21? It might have been 21. I'm sorry, it might have been was 21 the year that you guys mostly kind of spent a lot of the time on the packaging and the rebranding of
22.
It was 22, yeah. And I remember that because it was a big deal because it's important to do. But I remember, product wise, it wasn't that big of a year. We talked about it at the trade show, and I remember you say, hey, we're focusing on our rebranding and all of this and all of that. But next year, we have some plans, and we definitely saw that this year. And we saw Rare Leaf Maduro, which I know we have out. I know Mitchell reviewed that recently, and I think it got like a 90 or 91. Pretty great cigar, pretty well received. Now, talk to us a little bit about that cigar and kind of where the inspiration. Obviously, a build off of the original Rare Leaf, which we saw a few years ago as well. Now going with the Maduro, and then you also had the Rare Leaf Fusion that was an exclusive, I think, with Smokin. Was that correct, if I remember correctly?
Rare Fusion. But
the Rare Fusion.
Smokin.
Yeah.
That was exclusive to. That was an edition done for Abe.
But was that based on the Rare Leaf blend though? The Rare Fusion.
It was a combination of Rare and Supreme. So
that's what it was. Yeah.
Supreme is Corojo 99 dominant, and so we took some of the Corojos we use in the Supreme, and then we combined them with the same with the Corojo 98 tobaccos from the Rare, and it was to kind of, and which generally speaking, like that doesn't necessarily work. It's like I like chocolate, I like lobster. Let's combine them and see what it tastes like. It doesn't necessarily work that way, but in that case it did. It came out really well, and people really loved it, and it was very successful. So that's Rare Fusion. Rare Leaf Maduro, again, it's in the same concept of the original Rare Leaf, which is that the problem with limited editions, and again Supreme Leaf is an example of this, is that limited edition you have tobaccos that you can't really use. You can't concentrate them in the blend if you want to make a lot of them. If you want them to stand out, you're not going to be able to make that many cigars. And so the plus to that, of course, is you get something like Supreme Leaf. Like you get something that only comes out, every so often, and people rush to get it. But it also creates problems because then on the other hand, you have the fact that the guy goes into the store and says, hey, I love that cigar. I'd like another box. Or, hey, I heard the cigar's here. You have them. Where are they? And they're out. And then they can't get more. And so then the customer is looking elsewhere for the cigar. And so that kind of annoys retailers. They're like, yeah, I got guys asking for this, and now they're going to my competition to look for it or whatever. Not even that they have it, but it's the person is not getting what they want from their regular retailer. So that you can make more, but often when you make more, the problem with that, of course, is that you dilute the blend, and then people go, it's not the same, and it's not as good, and you kind of lose what's special about it. So that's always the problem, kind of with limited editions. And so Supreme Leaf is limited by access. It's basically we say, okay, this is for our Aganorsa Select partners. That's only about 10 or 15% of our entire retail customer base, and we sell it only to them. And by doing that, now again, if somebody orders an absurd amount, they're not going to get it all at once, but they'll eventually get it. And so you have something that is basically a limited edition that some of our accounts can get very consistently. And so that's kind of the benefit to it is that if you are one of our select accounts, it's a huge benefit to have something that is sought after and hard to find, but you will pretty much consistently have it.
Yeah, and I think that, we've seen other brands with with their, like Drew Estate's got their diplomat accounts and so on and so forth, and you guys kind of have that similar thing, and I like the way that when companies do that. I know kind of go off topic a little bit, but like I was thinking about it as you were talking about it too, and I like how the manufacturers they create these programs with the retailers that I don't want to put it this way, but the reality is it's kind of in my opinion, I think that's what a lot of brands do is it's kind of like rewarding your best customers by giving them your more special products, and kind of giving back to them in a sense for being good customers of yours, giving them those exclusive things, and I think that's great. It's a great business tactic too, but it's also great because you can use that in the smaller quantities. With these special releases, like you said, you limit it by access, which I really like the way you said that, because especially in a world nowadays where everything's so like limited edition. And Kevin, and we've talked about this on the Spare Notes show with Coop, and Terence, I'm sure you've talked about it with Coop on his show at length. I know how he feels about this topic, but it's just the industry has just become just limited releases. It's almost like when things come out now, I have to look and say, is this a core line product or is this like how many are they making? Because it's just there's so many limiteds out there, and you guys do that, but you do it in a way where it's not just like here's a quick fart that we're throwing out there and we're done with it. This is something special, and certain people are going to get it because they're great partners of ours, and I like the way that's done, if that matters, I guess.
No, thank you. We're trying to, it's good we're trying to make people happy. It's a hard thing. You can't make everybody happy. And there's obviously with the limited edition thing, it's difficult in the sense that, like I said, there's absolutely a genuine aspect of, or at least potentially of limited editions. Generally speaking, like the manufacturers don't really love limited editions because like people always ask, it's like, well, do you ever have a crop and the tobacco on it is like special that year, or is there certain farms that produce really, unique flavor that's distinctive and really stands out? And that's true. But really, what farmers want is to grow a very consistent quality crop over and over again that's exactly the same. They don't really want something that tastes different, even if it's good, because then that kind of throws off the blends that they're trying to keep. So in that sense, the manufacturer doesn't really, it's much easier to sell the same thing over and over and over again without making any changes or altering it in any way, if you have the supply to do that. So that's preferable. Limited editions are really driven by the consumer because people come in, and especially younger consumers, or newer consumers, I should say, not necessarily even younger. They come in and, hey, what's new? And they want to try everything. And that's why, if you look at beer, a guy would drink his, whatever it was, from the day he woke up to the day he died. He wouldn't drink another brand or anything, like not even another version. Like if he drank Budweiser, that's all he drank. Or if he drank, he didn't drink Bud Light or Bud Ice or whatever else. Or if he drank, Bud
Ice,
Sam Adams, now I'm dating myself.
Now you're dating yourself.
Or
Ice House
whatever.
Light.
If you like Heineken, he drank Heineken, or if you like Sam Adams, he drank. And now today, if you look at Beer Advocate's top 10 craft beers, like from 2002, it's like Guinness. It's like beers that like would not be considered a craft beer even today. And then you have Treehouse now that literally just churns out different stuff. They do some repeats, obviously, but like there's different things you can get every time you show up at that brewery. And that's driven really by consumers. Consumers are kind of, they want to try everything, but they don't really stick to the same thing over and over again very much like they used to. So there's kind of this drive from, I would say, less the manufacturers, but from the consumer that want to have a different experience every time they go into the cigar shop. And so we try to take that into consideration. We're also much bigger. Like I always use a good example, like Viaje. Viaje, we do a lot of cigars for those guys. Andre is awesome, and but he's a one-man show. It's basically, well, not one-man show, but it's him. He's got a couple guys in the office. He doesn't have a factory. He doesn't have farms and things like that. So he's able to effectively and quite successfully like have something that comes out once a year, and then come out with the next thing that comes out once a year, and the next thing that comes out once a year. It would be very difficult for us to do something like that, even if we wanted to. But you do want to continue to engage customers, and so like with Supreme, where it's the same blend but it's a different size, or Rare, it's only in select stores, partners and things like that. And so you try to take that into consideration, because it's a reality. If the customer is not excited to go buy an Aganorsa or whatever brand it is, you're going to have a problem. I always say the only metric of success is passion for the product. I mean, again, look at soccer. I mean, soccer releases something, and like people they have riots, so to beat each other up to go get it. Now, there's a value to that. So you have to balance kind of like the logistics of a good product, and certainly for us, we need to have brands that are core line and that people go in and smoke on a consistent basis, and we do, I think, great version. I mean, our Anniversario series, you just rated the Connecticut. I mean, that's super successful for us. That's available, produced on a consistent basis, and is not limited. So we want to have that product, and there's lots of guys out there that they don't want to smoke something different every time, but definitely to drive people to the brand, you get a lot of people if you have something that's different or hard to get or unusual in some way. And Supreme Leaf was a great example of that. I can't tell you, when I talk to people like, hey, what was the first Aganorsa you have? Even though that was a limited run, a lot of people will tell me, oh, it was the Supreme Leaf. I tried that, and then I started trying your other product. So it's hard, and you're trying to balance those two things.
Now,
that's one of the things.
Oh, go ahead, Kevin. Go ahead. No, go ahead, Kevin. I want to look something up.
That's one of the things, that I wanted to lead into, Terrence, that kind of, led me to Aganorsa Leaf, is your involvement with the consumer base. There really aren't many people out there like you that are, I mean, like you're a road warrior for sure. The Aganorsa experience that you have for the consumers to come out and you experience the leaves that go into the blend, and just your direct involvement with the consumers. You're, big personality. You now have Fabian, so you guys combined are probably literally like the biggest personalities in the industry, and it makes it for a fun experience. People, if you show that you care about the consumer, which you guys do, they're going to be willing to try your product and probably try your product more and more. And there's going to be a loyalty aspect there as well. The fact that it's amazing tobacco definitely helps, but your involvement is key, I think.
Thank you. I'll make sure Eduardo, I'm going to record this section for Eduardo to hear. Thank you. Number one, and again, it takes everybody to do this, and Fabian obviously coming on board now, that's a huge help, and we have lots of people involved that do a great job, our reps, and that's really important. Like you said, I can't be everywhere, even as much as I travel, and having our sales going in and working it. I always feel that like you want to hit all levels that you can, and so certainly there's a level where there's a segment of the market that wants to kind of make those acquaintances with you and meet you and get to learn from you, or just talk cigars or whatever it is. And we really try to provide content and good value and all that, whether it be kind of funny or silly or be really genuine quality information, or the best case, a combination of those things. But you also, at the end of the day, you want I'll be most I feel successful when I can very consistently run into people that smoke Aganorsa that have no idea who I am. No, I don't know. I just like the brand. That's real.
Mhm.
That's really when you really have success, is that they don't know who you are. They don't really know anything about you. They just know that they like the cigars, and you've penetrated enough. And that's from also reaching other people where, maybe I didn't reach that guy, but I reached two guys before him who, I've developed, through social media or whatever, a friendship with. And that guy goes into his shop all the time, and he talks about Aganorsa and how much he loves it. And then two other guys that don't care about social media and don't go online and just like smoking cigars. Through him, they came into contact with Aganorsa, and now they're just smoking it because they love it and they were introduced to it. So you really want to have both. I'm always super humbled when somebody says, "Oh, we really appreciate like your efforts out there," because there's a lot. I can tell you, there's a lot of effort that goes into all this stuff. And then on the other side, also, you want to get to a point where it's not like, dependent on me having to necessarily go in and do an event or meet everybody for it to be successful in the store or the brand be successful overall. So, it's if you can have both those things, that's really, I think, where it's key.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have definitely stayed busy the last few years with your rebranding. You brought up, like I said, you brought up some new cigars this year. We talked about that. You brought Fabian on board too, which I see you guys together a lot now, and you guys look like you have a hell of a time together. I don't follow along too much. I don't know if he's part of the Pro Gabe Kapler club. But anytime we can recruit someone to that gang is it's we need strength in numbers. So
Terence has a lot of influence, so he's got to be right.
Good old Gabe Kapler, what a guy.
I rely on Terence Reilly because Terence is. Look, he's out there. He's running Aganorsa Leaf. He's keeping the ship going, and he does a great job. And that's why he's here tonight. We're talking about the company and the product, and that's all fun and good because it is, and it's very important. But on another note, Terrence's existence is like, Terence, you're. I said to you before the show, you asked me like, "Oh, can you see me?" Do I look at it? I go, "You're Terence Reilly. You look dynamite," and don't worry about it. It's going to be great. But yeah, you're Terence Reilly. You are like this centrifugal person within the industry that you keep it all going. You keep the social aspect.
This is
going.
Great.
Yeah, I know. I'm
going to come on the show more often.
Oh, well, I'm building towards something. I'm building towards something. I'm building towards something. You're not afraid to stick it to the man. And that's what I'm getting at. You're not afraid to stick it to the man, whether it's Gabe Kapler or it's a cheesesteak. You live true, man. You don't let the man get you down.
I do my best. I do my best not to let They try, but I try to keep my head above water.
Why is there a group of people that picks on you so much? I don't understand this. What did you ever do to anybody?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all mostly, or at least I'd like to believe in good fun.
I know.
I bring some of it upon myself, of course. The cheesesteak pick. Let's be honest, it wasn't the best. And
you fucked that one up.
There's an argument that Gabe Kapler isn't a great manager. I don't know if I subscribe to it, but there's an argument there that he's not a genius.
He's all right.
But it's all part of the fun. Again, well, guys, we're not operating on brains or anything like that. We're just trying to create a little bit of joy in people's lives. And if they smoke a cigar and they enjoy it a little bit more, or they we get a laugh out of them or something like that. Honestly, that's we only get one shot at this, guys, as far as we know. So if you can make it people's day a little bit brighter, that's kind of the idea, is that you just bring some a smile.
Well, the fun thing with picking on Terence is he pokes back, and keeps it fun and keeps it engaging. Other than just
he does.
I give as good as I take. I can't. If you're going to dish it out, you got to take it. So,
amen to that, and that's what makes it fun.
And then you get and then that brings me to my next point, which is when it comes to the Airport Selfie Contest, which I gotta, it's 2024, so I have to address this situation. And Terrence is here, so this is a great.
Who won?
No winner has been selected yet. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a very disappointing year because not everyone is as good as you and Joe Grow and Fred Rui and the few others that actually played along. Not as many people played along as I thought. And I'm very disappointed by that. And then there was a lot of people who tried to play along, but they didn't follow the rules. And I don't know, Terrence. Are you just one of the only people that knows how to read? I mean, I don't know. People they don't follow the rules.
I did definitely did some. I think Coop sucked the life out of me on the contest. That it was hard for me to really fully
Fucking Coop.
Plus, kind of needling him, it was most of the fun, quite frankly. So with you, you're a very nice guy, and got a lot going. I wouldn't really enjoy giving you a hard time the way that I truly savor, harassing.
You know why? Because I don't get upset the way that Coop does. Huh, yeah, okay. Let's talk about William Coop. Let's talk about Gabe Kapler. Oh, okay, Terence Reilly. You think you know about baseball? Let me let's talk about this. It's all right, Coop. It's Gabe Kapler. He's not, he's not a Nazi. He's not that bad. Let's relax. He's just a baseball manager. He didn't hurt anybody. But yeah, no. I mean,
I had to go pick this up.
Oh, look at that. Terrence, you're familiar with
look at that,
aren't you?
Yeah, I got a participation trophy. Yeah, just like
an honorable mention.
Did. Yeah, we all won. Everybody won.
Everybody won. Is that kind of like Randy's participation trophy for the dojo?
Yeah, I think it's sad, And Coop's not a spring chicken. Coop's not a millennial, so he should know better than giving these these participation trophies.
Well, no, a winner has not been selected yet, Terrence. But what I will tell you, now this isn't an indication of anything either. I don't want anyone to try to read into this and be like, oh, Terrence is going to win. Terrence is a strong forefront runner because, he had some entries. He did it the Terence Reilly way, which I book. I know some other publications that used to run this contest used to say things like, Terence Reilly has lost his creativity with this project. And, I think that Terence Reilly is the kind of guy who less is more. And simplistic is complicated and complex. And, he brings a certain zip to it. And he's a front runner right now. So we are finalizing Cigar of the Year.
Joe Grow's got iambic pentameter or something like that. He's got some poems out there. I have to give Joe Grow. He's done some impressive ones.
Joe Grow is right up next to you in terms of your competition with this contest. I mean, he doesn't fuck around. I mean, you're right. I'm
gonna be honest.
Fred's right in there too.
Fred.
He's putting more effort into it than I am. Joe is. So he's putting a lot more effort into it. But I would say he's come up with some very good ones. I have to tell you.
And then you got Fred, who's a little bit like you. He's on the simplistic side, and where less is more. And sometimes you got to give it to him. It doesn't have to be overthought. It's just kind of like I'm in the airport. And I think the best one you ever did, I think you did it when Coop was doing it, was the one with. The one I think it was, because I think I remember Coop getting all upset about it. It just makes me laugh. You were on the plane and you took the picture of the USB port on the seat or whatever, and you went the whole rant about it. And Coop got all upset, fucking Terence Reilly, no one wants to see that. It's leave the guy alone. He did something different than everybody else.
On the 777. On the 777, it's not easy to find that port. I'm just telling you, in the first class seats, and you can't find that port easily. So I was trying to help people out, and provide some didactic value to the contest. But he just he didn't want to play ball with me. It's very sad, unfortunately. He just he couldn't appreciate the value I was providing to his contest. He just never was able to come around, unfortunately.
I know
Not only
it
was
is
it
sad.
entertaining, not only was it entertaining, it was educational. So, I mean, it's like a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah,
Terrence,
I'm
you're
with
like
you.
world traveling, like what do they call those people that just post things on Instagram all the time? Influencers. Um, you're like a traveling influencer. I mean, you travel the world, kind of. Or at least
Yeah, it froze for a second. I'm sorry. You said what do you call those? Who?
Oh, I see. Yeah, what do you call those people that just post stuff on Instagram all the time? Influencers. They you're like a world traveler influencer. You know what I mean? You educate people on
Yeah.
how to charge your phone in first class.
Yeah.
What's going on in the airport? Tips and tricks. I mean, you're not just a cigar salesman. You're a life hack, and
I'm
it's
a giver.
important.
I'm a giver.
He's a giver.
Fred hurts himself because all of Fred's posts are funny. So like the ones for you are funny too, but like it doesn't stand out from anything else he's doing because everything he posts is pretty funny. So that's the only thing that hurts him is that I would post some more boring other posts, then it would accentuate how contest. That's my advice to Fred.
Yeah, Fred's good. I don't know if Fred will win, but with a little bit of tweaking, I think Fred can be a serious threat. But I don't know if we're going to run the contest again. Terrence, I think you're the one that called it, and I think I didn't want to agree with you, but sometimes you got to agree with the wise man. And I don't know if we're going to keep doing this. I was disappointed by how it ran this year. We didn't get the turnout that I was hoping that we would get for this, and considering the prize that was offered, I was like, people are gonna. No, people didn't really go for it. Even Coop, who was like, I'm done with this, was like, hey, even I am like, hey, you should do this, contest. And
I broke him on the contest. I'm gonna be honest with you. I broke him. I think my continual demands to win it was too much stress for him, and
you were relentless.
and then you sabotaged it.
Yeah. So I think that kind of killed it. Honestly, you're number one. You did give a good prize and not a real prize, not a participation trophy, and your enthusiasm to continue it. I tried to keep it going, but I again. In a way, he broke me with his negativity.
Yeah, he did. And, I love him to death. He's, a very important person in my life. But, I got to give him shit for this. I think he ruined this. And he'll be like, oh, other people ruined it for me. And no, you and your negativity, I was trying to promote it. And he's like, oh, and I'm like, Coop, come on, man. Don't bring people down. I'm trying to build people up. Anyway, I don't know. We're going to pick somebody.
Take a turn to negative town.
Yeah, let's not do that. We're going to pick a winner, and then, we'll decide if we want to do another run. So I guess we should be really, really pick someone good, because they might be the only winner that ever wins this one with us. So I don't know, Terrence. You got a good shot so far, but you're right. Joe Grow is he's coming out of nowhere, and he's coming for it. So
yeah,
those are the two to watch.
Yeah,
you and Joe Grow.
When is it over? When does it end? When are you going to draw the winner?
TPE could be the deciding factor.
I mean, I was gonna say it ended at the end of 2023 because it's
okay. So
year.
It's over. Okay, yeah.
It's over. So we're working on all of our awards and all of that stuff for the end of January. But so we have to sit down and go through it and decide, who really had the pizzazz this year, and why, and make a decision, and we will. But more on that later. We'll have updates for our Cigar of the Year and award stuff pretty soon. We're almost wrapped up with most of it. So, but Terrence, we talked about the Supreme Leaf. We kind of casually mentioned TPE, and you may have mentioned this. I'm sorry. There's been a lot of things going back and forth tonight. Is that the only thing that you guys are bringing to TPE? I know it's a smaller show. I assume so. That's probably the only thing we'll see from you guys at TPE.
What would be the only thing at TP?
The Supreme Leaf.
No, so Supreme Leaf has kind of evolved out of being it initially was released to TPE, but it's not. What happens is basically it's part of our January. Now is the time you can, if you're a retailer, you can join our select program in January, and part of the part of the benefit of that is you get more Supreme Leaf than you would if you don't join, and so it's no longer part of TPE. We're sold out by the time TPE hits. TPE sometimes is in February or the very, very tail end of January. So for TPE, basically, honestly, we'll be focusing on some other products. I think this year, and this is just, we'll see what happens, is that because the two trade shows are so close, I think a lot of retailers, your more traditional retailers will probably go to PCA and not TPE. Most people won't go to both. And if they're going to pick, they're going to go to PCA. Whereas at TPE, you're going to still see a lot of I think the liquor store chains that have humidors and some, maybe guys that are more local in the area where it's easy to get to, you'll see them. But we're going to focus more on the new Cuba Superior we just came out with, which is, it's sweetened on the tip. And our fresh packs and items that are more appealing to that kind of customers. So that will be the focus of TPE. Really is more on those particular items. And then at PCA, we're going to focus on we'll have some new stuff for PCA, and then obviously the more kind of traditional tobacconist items that people are looking for.
It's
well, you must have been a mind reader, because I was actually going to ask kind of what your intentions were for that, since the shows are very close together this year.
Terence is a smart guy. I think he kind of sniffed that out from the beginning.
I'm beating you to the punch.
Yeah.
How about that?
It's
now,
almost like you're a professional.
Is the earlier trade show going to have really any major impact on when new releases land?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's gonna. The problem this year, I love the shows in March. I really applaud the PCA for making that move. I think it's a much better time of year. But what it does the first year is it makes the show 9 months away instead of a full year away, and so that makes it a little tough to get through one show, get everything out there, and then you're already got another show right on top of you. So, I mean, we should be good to have stuff come out right around the show, but it'll probably be a little, slightly after there, which is good, because the benefit of the show now is that if you don't ship in March, you ship in April, let's say, or even early May, you've got the whole summer, which is good for the vast majority of the country, going into that. Whereas if you ship, if it's the show's in July and you ship in September, most of the country is going into a slower time of year. It's getting colder. The guys aren't golfing on the course anymore with their cigars. School's back in, so they can't just sit on the back porch and, there's got cool sports and things like that. And then obviously just it gets cold, colder in most of the places in the country, and that, makes it more difficult. So this way, even if it doesn't come out right away, it's okay. Whereas traditionally that's been kind of a concern. You're losing the best potential time of year to have your cigars on the shelf.
Yeah, that was like my one thought, with moving the trade show up, is if being in March, if stuff is still not going to land until the end of the year, until September, October, November, the end of the year. So that's really cool to hear that the plan is to have it, April, May, June, earlier in the year, so you can enjoy it for the whole summer. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, that's definitely the idea. That if we're shipping stuff from the March show in October, I'm gonna commit seppuku. I mean, that would be terrible.
Well, I think that there's a vast majority of retailers who have been pushing for this for a while for that reason, and they don't want to leave their shops in the middle of July. They want to have stuff already coming in for July, and so I know there was a lot of back and forth on the show moving, and I know that the manufacturers. I know you guys were all asked, and you guys had some input on that too. And it sounds to me like this is what I think the majority wanted, and hopefully it goes well. And it also seems like because it was moved and some changes were made, there was some other manufacturers who came back to the show, and I think that. From my perspective, this might be one of the best. It has the potential to be one of the best trade shows in a long time. just because of some of the other changes that have been made. Now moving the show, it's attracted more people back from multiple fronts. So I think PCA 24 is going to be a really big deal this year, and hopefully I'm right about that. And going on to 25, keep riding that wave. Although we'll be in New Orleans in 25, so I'm curious to see how that pans out. I know there's a lot of people who are not happy about New Orleans, but it is what it is. We'll all be there. So
I mean, I think, and by the way, Chuck, I will be at TGS 2024, so I'll see you there. But I think New Orleans, the problem with it is that when you're from Miami and you go to a place that's too humid for you, that's a serious problem. So in New Orleans, in the summer is unbelievably. Again, you had the two worst ones. Now the difference is with Vegas. I mean, when it's hot in New Orleans, you want to die. You could actually die in Vegas, but in Vegas, you don't have to really go out. You could literally be in the hotel almost the entire time if you wanted to. So you don't really have to deal with the heat to the degree that you do in New Orleans. So I think New Orleans in April will be really nice. The food is great in New Orleans, and I think that's a much more pleasant time of year to be there. So I think it's going to go well. And honestly, it's been in Vegas for, I think, close to it'll be 10 years next year. That that would be the first time I'd be out of Vegas in 10 years. So I think Vegas, generally speaking, is the place to have shows. Based on the viability of the places left that you can have them. But it's nice to once in a while to have it be someplace else, and you'll get some retailers that haven't attended in a while just because it's driving distance. I'll tell you, the Florida one, that one is Orlando in 2012. That was a great show. I mean, we had a ton of people there, and I thought that was a really good show just because so many people can drive there, and then let's go to Disney afterwards, so they could go with the family or whatever. So I'm looking forward to New Orleans next year.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting trade show for sure. I know that I've never been to New Orleans. Nicole has been to New Orleans, so I know she's food-wise. I know she's excited to go back there. I want to go to Cafe Dupont and get beignets and coffee and have that experience because I'm a foodie. If you haven't told, if you haven't been able to tell,
it's the place to be, man. I'm telling you, the food there is outstanding. It's just world-class food.
Yeah, I mean, I like to eat, so if anywhere that's got good food, that's like my first thing. So I'll definitely be eating a lot there. I can't wait.
We're going to be in good shape down there, that's for sure.
I'm going to put on even more weight. It's going to be awesome. Kevin, let's do the news really quick before we wrap up the show, and we'll let Terence get out of here. But our news is once again brought to you by Micallef Cigars. If you head over to SmokinTabacco.com today, you can check out our review done by that guy right there. This is the first time we've been able to do that. That guy right there. Rated Micallef Black 91 at SmokinTabacco.com. Micallef Black, it is a blackout. One news thing that we did talk about, obviously, was the new Supreme Leaf with Terence, who's here with us tonight. So you can go and check that out at SmokinTabacco.com and read more information about it and check it out. But another one, I pulled this one up because, Kevin, I know that this one is definitely going to be up your alley, given who it's with and what they're doing with it. And that is the Alec Bradley and Starlight Bourbon collaborate on another whiskey release pairing. I'm pretty sure you saw this story. I know you're familiar with some of the other releases that have gone on before. Pretty excited. This is the third one.
Those are fun.
Yeah. I know that you've partaken in these pairings before. I know Alec Bradley is one of your favorites. So this is kind of cool to see. I like to see some different stuff, and I like to see more of the pairing stuff. It's becoming a little bit more mainstream, I guess, so to speak. But now Alec Bradley and Starlight Distillery will kick off 2024 on an indulgent note. Today, the brands will release their second Uncut Series collaboration, this time pairing Alec Bradley Gatekeeper with Starlight Single Barrel Bourbon finished in Vino de Naranja casks. This is the third release of STG's Uncut Series. The whiskey brings to life the experience that Starlight Distillery's Christian Huber, a 7th-generation master distiller, and Alec and Bradley Rubin, legacy cigar makers, had when they developed the pairing. They set out on an exploratory mission, sampling cask strength bourbon straight from the barrels to discover nuanced differences among the barrels. Now, I'll admit I've been slacking with my bourbon game the last year or so. And I have not been in tune with it as I used to be. But Kevin, you've had the Starlight Distillery stuff before, haven't you? I know I haven't.
I've had the Starlight. It's good. I'm really looking forward to trying this one. I know the last one they did with Rebel was just outstanding. That's one of the things. Alec has an amazing palate when it comes to whiskey. So to see guys that have been really successful in the cigar world to kind of be crossing over and bringing the bourbon world to the cigar market, and vice versa, bringing the cigar world to the bourbon market. I mean, it's genius. It's a genius thing to do, and the product
100%.
is good, and they pair exceptionally well. I was able to try the Rebel before I ordered it, and the cigar that it is designed to pair with, the cigar that they picked to go with it, is a perfect match. So I expect nothing less with the Starlight, and I'm excited to order it and get it in and try it. I mean, Gatekeeper is one of my favorite Alec Bradley cigars. So if the cigar goes with it, it's just going to be a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, and it's one of the things. So we as a team, we get together and we talk about stuff and things we want to do. And, we one of the things that came up last year that was kicked around a lot was to get into more pairing stuff. And I think in 2024, you're going to see us do a lot more with pairings this year. Whether we do them with, a brand or whatever, like we've done some with like Micallef from Toscano, which have been kind of cool. Or if we just kind of do them in-house. I think we're definitely going to be getting into that more. And now, especially Kevin, now with you being on the show, I know Mitchell's into it too, but I know you and I just have talked a lot about different pairings over the years. And I'm excited to bring kind of some of those conversations and those pairings that we've discovered or we've talked about on the show and kind of, do them together for other people to learn from and see and participate. So I think that might be one of the newer, stronger themes of the show this year is doing a lot more pairings, and I'm excited for that. So this is one of those things that comes at a great time.
Exciting.
Yeah, we'll probably try to take this and implement this on one of the shows somewhere and see what happens. Really exciting stuff. So I also, what, Kevin, we should do? We should get that new soda. Remember I don't know if you saw that story, the soda that was made for pairing with cigars. That story came out a couple weeks ago, but we should definitely get on that. Yeah, we should do that on a show soon. I think that would be really fun.
Well, there's a lot of cigar smokers out there that don't drink alcohol, so that's a great thing to have pair. There's a couple. Like Barb really likes spiced chai tea, and spiced chai tea goes with a lot of cigars. It overrun a lot of cigars, but it also pairs well with a lot of cigars too. So that would be another one to bring into the fold to show how it pairs.
Yeah, not everyone's an alcohol drinker, and then there's a lot of reasons for that sometimes, and I respect that. So yeah, it's nice to kind of have some non-alcoholic pairings too. Those are very important to have, and we should definitely, we should get on that. I think that's going to be something that we work on for this year. But that's our news, once again brought to you by Micallef Cigars, featuring the Micallef Black. Terrence, you've been a trooper tonight. I appreciate you hanging in there with us. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here. It's always great to see your amazing face and hear your awesome stories. What can I say? This guy, he's one of the best. The only thing I wish is that John Carney was here with you, because when you guys get together, it's an even better time. So,
he's a great man. I saw him a couple weeks ago. I saw him. He was in Miami, and it's always good. God, I've known him forever, so it's always nice to get together when we get the chance to catch up. And he's a busy man. I'm a busy man, and he's got a family now, and so it's hard to get together like the way you used to, but it's always fun to see him. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I miss him. I miss him very much. He texted me the other day and pretty much confessed his love for me once again, and not that it ever left, but just like, hey, I didn't forget about you. I miss you.
It was just a reminder. Just a reminder.
He wanted me to know he was thinking about me, and I was like, I felt really good.
We all love you.
So I
I
miss
don't love you
John.
as much as Terrence, but we love you.
Yeah, no, I know, and you know, he used to be part of this show, so it's not the same without him. But hey, time goes on. But Terrence, thank you for being here on the show with us tonight. It's always great to catch up with you. Always great to check in and see you at the trade show and whatnot too. So we'll be seeing you in person pretty soon. You'll be seeing Kevin first. You'll see me at PCA. So we'll get together then and have a cigar. But other than that, thanks for being here tonight, and you know, just keep being you. That's all I have to say. Keep being you.
Oh, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for everyone that tuned in. And it's always a pleasure, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thank you for listening with us. Thank you for watching the show. Happy New Year to everyone out there. It's our first show of 24. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Head over to YouTube, all the podcast apps, wherever you get our podcast. Like and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're getting on this so you can stay up to date. And don't forget to go to SmokinTabacco.com for more news, reviews, and other updates from the cigar industry. We'll see you next week. Take care, everybody. Have a great night.